They say some weddings bring good luck, but this one brought something else back from the grave.
Morgan staggered alone along the highway. Today was the wedding day of his so-called first love. First love, though in reality, he had never even dared to look her straight in the eyes. She was a woman far too enchanting, too dazzling for someone like him. From the very first moment he saw her in middle school, he thought he had fallen in love. Through all these years, middle school, high school Morgan followed her from school to school, always in the shadows. But in the end, he failed the college entrance exam, while she, though not in a prestigious school, still moved on, and so they separated. Years later, Morgan received a wedding invitation. It was from the groom, also a high school classmate. The wedding came so suddenly, if Morgan remembered correctly. At their class gathering earlier that year, that guy didn't even have a girlfriend. When Morgan opened the invitation and saw the bride's name, his heartbeat instantly skipped. He called to confirm, and fell into a hollow disappointment. When had the two gotten entangled? He couldn't understand it. At first, he wanted to just send a gift and avoid attending, sparing himself the embarrassment. But eventually, he still couldn't resist going. The night before the wedding, many classmates gathered at the groom's house. Morgan saw the bridal photo on the wall, the face he had secretly loved for so many years, and the gloom in his heart drove him to drink recklessly. He said goodbye to the others, and walked out alone. A chilly spring wind hit him. Morgan shivered. He had come with a classmate, but leaving early meant he now had to walk home on foot. He didn't want to go back inside, didn't want to see her again. A dull sense of grievance rose inside him, so he walked alone, against the dry, stinging spring wind. Without knowing how far he went, he eventually leaned against a huge old tree by the roadside, and vomited for a long time before collapsing to the ground. He had no idea how long he slept. A voice woke him. A faint, drifting voice. Morgan, Morgan. He struggled to sit up. The place was unfamiliar. A village, it seemed, and he was lying beneath a large tree at a crossroads. The voice came again. Morgan, Morgan. In the distance stood a woman in a traditional red Chinese wedding dress. He recognized her instantly, the woman he had loved for years. Morgan rubbed his eyes, looking around. The surroundings were painfully familiar. He had come here countless times in secret, hoping to catch a glimpse of her. He followed the voice. She stood there smiling, softly, gently, waiting for him as he approached. She raised a finger to her lips, silencing him, then pulled him forward. Morgan let himself be led. His mind was blank. He didn't understand how she found him, or even how he got here. Soon they reached a small courtyard decorated with a giant red double happiness symbol. Inside, people bustled about with joy. They surrounded Morgan, changing his clothes, shoes, hat, and in moments he was dressed in a full traditional groom's outfit, a bright red flower pinned to his chest. A middle-aged woman dragged him into the main hall. An old table covered with red cloth stood beneath wedding scrolls and couplets, offerings, a grain-filled ceremonial bucket, sealed with red paper and copper coins, a scale with a bronze mirror hanging from it. Everything matched an ancient traditional wedding setup. Then someone called out, "The bride is here." The woman in the red wedding dress entered, now with a red veil covering her head. Morgan's head grew heavier and heavier. He only vaguely remembered someone was getting married. But who? Seeing himself in red holding the bride's hand, he suddenly felt, "I'm the groom." They walked to the center of the hall. The wedding officiant sang out the ritual lines. First bow to heaven and earth. Second bow to the ancestors. Husband and wife bow to each other. Morgan bent down with the bride, and at that precise moment, a sharp pain stabbed his leg. He woke up instantly. The woman before him had no legs. She floated. He jerked his head up. The bride's luxurious wedding attire had rotted away, hanging in tatters. Her skin was decayed and moldy, black fluid dripping from her body. The veil still covered her head. The lively hall turned into a collapsing, rotten room. The table was broken, offerings dried to husks, mice and maggots, crawling over them. The only light came from two white candles with eerie green flames. Morgan sobered at once. He tried to stand, terrified, but the woman behind him pushed him down. He turned, and saw a grotesquely decayed face, blackened and peeling, attached to a body covered only in scraps of rotten cloth. Its dark bluish-black hand pressed hard on his neck. 1 bow, 2 bow, 3 bow. The ceremony is complete. The thing suddenly released him. Morgan screamed and tried to run, but a cold wind blew out the candles. Everything went pitch black. Something tripped him, and he fell. A faint green glow drifted toward him, and a woman with a long red tongue crawled close. Her face was melted sludge, writhing with maggots. She grinned at him. "Hee hee, husband." Time for the bridal chamber, Morgan fainted. When he woke, it was still dark. He sat up and hit something above him. His hand brushed something icy beside him. He realized he was inside a coffin. A green glow appeared behind him. The tongued woman stared at him. You're awake. Husband. Morgan died. His body was found days later in a mass grave deep in the wilderness, with no external wounds, twisted in terror. 7 days after his funeral, his friend John stood by his window. Lately, every night, a funeral hearse passed by. But this started only after Morgan died. Tonight was the 7th night. John waited. Midnight approached. No hearse appeared. Just as he thought it wouldn't come, he saw it, gliding silently down the street. Tonight, the hearse had a large funeral wreath on the hood, and a huge portrait hanging in the center. Morgan's portrait. As the hearse passed, John stared, and Morgan in the photo suddenly smiled at him. John panicked and closed the curtains. Then, a knock on the door. A familiar, icy voice. Joan, open up. It's me. It's Morgan.